Just then, he hears a loud sound. When he looks toward it, he sees a massive angelic monster floating in the sky. The sight worries him, especially since his own guild's raid is scheduled for tomorrow. If this keeps up, the boss might be taken down before his team even arrives. The masked raiders start attacking the boss monster, Kanal, which only increases his concern as things seem to spiral out of control. At that moment, a new quest appears, telling him to conquer the F-rank special field. On top of that, another B-rank subquest appears, ordering him to defeat the monster invading Earth and completely destroy the special field. Jin thinks about what both quests mean and tries to figure out what conquer even implies. Since there aren't any clear instructions, he wonders if it just means capturing the boss. Thinking of it as a bonus opportunity, he decides not to overthink and instead chooses to sit back and enjoy the chaos from a safe distance. Right then, the masked raiders manage to bring the flying angelic monster down to the ground. They announce that this is their chance to finish it off and claim the reward. Jin stays seated on the grass, relaxed, watching everything like it's a late-night movie. He finds out the boss was grounded because its health fell below 50%, making it unable to fly. This also marks the beginning of Phase 3 of the boss fight, where Kanal powers up with a massive buff. A sudden gust of wind blows dust everywhere, and as Jin covers his eyes, he spots the final essence he's been looking for. He jumps up to grab it, humming to himself and thinking about how easy that was. Just as he picks it up, some of the masked raiders get knocked nearby. They scramble to their feet and spot Jin. Thinking he's one of them, they tell him to hurry up, they need him for support with the mages. Jin stands up, holding a mask in his hand, and wonders who these shady guys even are. He decides to play along for now. As he walks off with the group, he silently thanks the guy he took the mask from. Right then, his quest system pings, quest complete, and he receives the B-rank quest buff. While one user locks swords with the boss to keep it away from others, someone in the distance hits it with powerful blue flames. All the raiders start questioning who's behind this insane magic. Meanwhile, Jin feels kind of guilty for causing so much damage from the sidelines while staying completely safe and racking up all the rewards. He's stuck wondering what to do with the crazy strong quest buff. If he does too little, they might get suspicious. But if he does too much, he'll grab too much attention. Still, he can't help but enjoy blasting the boss monster to pieces with his broken stats. But it doesn't take long for the raiders to notice him once he starts going a bit overboard. At that moment, the boss activates one of its abilities and summons powered-up monsters onto the island. While the boss chants, griffins and rhinos appear, forcing the raiders to split up and handle the chaos. Then, a group of outsiders stumbles into the field and starts asking why a raid is happening before the announced time. That seriously annoys the masked raiders. One of the outsiders questions them, and the masked leader doesn't hesitate, he kills the guy on the spot. Knowing things could get ugly if Hyang finds out about their secret raid, the leader yells at his crew to kill every outsider without mercy. Jin is completely shocked. He didn't expect these maniacs to go as far as actual murder. As the raiders go wild attacking the outsiders, Jin realizes that maybe running away would be the smartest move. Just then, Hyang and his squad show up and jump into the battle. Jin immediately realizes he's now in serious trouble. The raid leader mocks Hyang, laughing in his face, saying his team is too weak to make a difference and calling him out for crashing their raid like some wannabe hero. But Hyang replies calmly, telling him it's ridiculous to think he could just get away with killing people and stealing a boss on top of that. Wearing a wild grin, the raider leader tells Hyang that no one will even remember his name. Then, without hesitation, he dives straight into the crowd of raiders like they're nothing. One guy brushes past Jin, casually telling him to move aside, while Jin silently starts planning how to escape this mess. Right after, the boss monster starts attacking everyone, and the raiders decide their best chance to land the final blow is by targeting the rival group's healers first. As all-out chaos breaks loose around him, Jin starts sweating like crazy, desperately trying to figure out how to bring down the boss before things get completely out of hand. Suddenly, Hyang charges through the battlefield, cutting down enemies like a machine. At the same time, Hyge and her brother are dealing with insect-like monsters when a raider sneaks up behind her. Just before he strikes, a burst of blue flames lights up and burns the attacker to ashes. Hyde freezes in surprise, turning around to see a robed figure behind the fire. She realizes it was him who controlled the elegant yet deadly flames. When her brother runs up to check on her, she tells him that the man actually attacked his own side to protect her. Meanwhile, time is running out. Midnight is approaching, and Jian is dodging through Hyung's party like he's sprinting for his life. The clock hits 12, and Jian immediately pulls out his phone to copy another skill. While the calm knight is still battling monsters with ease, Jian activates his new buff and casually points his finger at the enemies, launching a massive fireball. It explodes with violent force, burning everything to ash. Hyung watches in shock. The raid leader clicks his tongue, clearly annoyed, and decides to fight alongside Jian to wipe out the remaining monsters. Now fully covered in buffs, Jian goes on a rampage using his blood frenzy skill, which increases his stats with every kill. He finally launches one last devastating fireball at the boss, knocking it out cold. The blast wipes out everything in its way. The raiders begin to wonder if that was really the final blow. But just when Jian thinks it's over, he realizes the fight isn't done yet. The boss undergoes a terrifying transformation, entering its final phase. It pulls out a massive sword and slams it into the ground with incredible force. Hyde's brother barely manages to block the shockwave using a defensive skill. The impact throws everyone around like ragdolls. Jian feels a chill crawl up his spine, thinking this could be the end for him. Then, out of nowhere, a guy appears and saves him. Jian stares, speechless. The man simply says Jian owes him one now, like it's no big deal. After being saved by Hyde's brother, Jian immediately fires off another fireball at Cannel, blasting the monster apart right in front of Hyung. Cannel falls, and the scattered loot makes it clear this was part of a proper boss system. Hyung steps up to claim it and tells the raiders to back off without causing any more problems. The raider leader, who had been trying to steal the boss kill, argues that no one should underestimate how powerful their mage really is. Meanwhile, Jian gets a notification that the main quest has been cleared. He's about to be teleported to the tutorial field where he'll pick his rewards. One of the raiders looks at him, thinking Jian seems familiar, but still can't place him. Just then, Jian casually walks up and snatches the boss reward. By the time the masked raider realizes that this guy is the infamous psychopath, it's too late. Jian grabs the item with a smirk and says that since he dealt the final blow, the loot obviously belongs to him. Both the masked raider and Hyung rush toward the item, but before either can reach it, Jian's system activates and teleports him out, leaving everyone stunned and furious, realizing they've just been outplayed. Now in the tutorial field, Jian starts questioning if he really just scammed them all. Before he can process it, a flood of system notifications overwhelms him. He tries to check if they're all reward alerts, but before he can read anything, a tiny fairy appears and introduces herself as Ego, his tutorial assistant. She explains that now that he's completed the main quest, she'll be guiding him through the rest of the tutorial. Jian gets nervous and argues that nobody told him anything about getting an assistant. He starts to wonder if this is some special perk for having an X-level unique trait. Ego politely asks for permission to start the reward collection process. When he agrees, she brings up a panel labeled Detailed Trait Upgrade. She explains that these upgrades are like second evolutions, enhancing the user's current traits by adding more specialized abilities to them. Ego then pulls up a full list of Jian's current abilities and tells him to choose one to upgrade. He starts thinking it through. At first, he considers upgrading his unearned income skill, thinking it might increase the amount of SP he earns from attacks. But then he realizes he's still way too weak overall and starts imagining how badly things could have gone if the raid happened before midnight, when his skills had reset. He might not have been able to beat Cannel at all. Taking everything into account, he decides that increasing the number of skill copies is the smartest choice for now. So, he selects the sample for skill copy and upgrades it. Even though he's a little disappointed that it now splits into two parts, the fact that he can copy 4 skills per day now lifts his mood. His eyes light up with excitement as he starts hoping that maybe someday he'll reach 8 skill copies per day instead of just 4. Ego then asks if he wants to check the rest of his unclaimed rewards, and he immediately says yes. From the random item box, he receives a sword that unleashes fiery explosions. He gets annoyed again that it's yet another fire-type item. Just like always, everything he gets is tied to fire, and of course, this new sword follows the same trend. Next up is the Skill Master reward box from the main quest, which finally cheers him up with a generous amount of SP. But that's not all. He also unlocks an extra reward that adds a new subtrait to one of his abilities. This time, he gets an entire new row of options to choose from. Feeling pumped up again, he checks the boss drop item he earned from Cannel. He's excited to see what kind of loot he got. Luckily for him, it turns out to be an SS rank cursed necklace, Cannel's necklace. It gives him a massive stat boost that leaves him shocked. Seeing how insane the drop is, he starts thinking the boss skill must have been even scarier. He checks it, and yep, if Cannel's HP had dropped below 10%, it would have fully healed and boosted its stats by 50%, making it basically impossible for Jin to win. That's when he notices that his SP has now passed the 20,000 mark. Without wasting a second, he begins investing into his skills, starting with the sample for safety skill. He pours in the points one by one, getting stronger and tougher with every level up. Once he's finally done upgrading everything, he drops flat on the floor, completely wiped out but satisfied, knowing he's finished everything for now. Just as he lies down to rest, Ego casually drops a bomb on him, telling him that the real tutorial is just getting started. She asks if he remembers the last line from the main quest. Jin thinks back and vaguely recalls something about Earth and humanity's survival. So, he looks at her and asks what that was supposed to mean. Ego answers calmly. It means that his world is about to be destroyed by invaders from another dimension. Back on Earth, a squad of soldiers stands guard at the portal gate. After the raid, Hyesung speaks to a crowd of reporters, telling them that his party took a serious hit from the raiders who stole their boss. He adds that at least the boss was defeated, even if those lunatics escaped after landing the final blow. One reporter asks what item dropped from the boss. Hyung replies that it was definitely something that boosts stats, but the endless questions start to get on his nerves. He turns around and tells them he has nothing more to say. Meanwhile, Fire Lady is chilling in her apartment, watching the broadcast on her phone. Her brother casually says that if the guy who saved her had actually gone one-on-one with Hyung, he'd probably be crushed flat like a pancake. But Fire Lady isn't listening. She's too busy dialing Jin's number, trying to get some answers about him. She's suspicious because even though his robe looked basic, one-shotting a boss with a fireball is not something just any random player can do. She ignores her brother completely as the call connects. Then greets Jin cheerfully and asks directly if he's the mage who saved her during the raid. He tries to brush her off and stay low-key. But Fire Lady is sharp. She tells him she recognized him from his gear and his weak-looking beta body. Still playing dumb, Jin casually tells her she didn't even show up to the raid and says sorry for not being able to help with such a tough mission. Then, in classic fashion, he throws both her and her brother off by saying he's been stuck in the bathroom this whole time. He ends the call right after. Back at his place, he finally breathes easy. He figures she probably won't be calling him again anytime soon. For now, he gets a break from his totally out of his league crush. His thoughts drift back to the tutorial world, where Ego's voice kept ringing in his ears, constantly reminding him that the world is in danger from monsters invading through other dimensions, and that it's his mission to stop it. She had told him that his skill master power is a unique and broken ability, granted to him by heavenly beings for this exact purpose. But even now, Jen still has no clue what the full picture really is. Jen asks Ego why he was chosen in the first place and whether he has any kind of divine connection. But pretty quickly, he realizes he's just a regular dude with nothing special going for him. Ego straight up tells him to stop overthinking. She says he's already wiped out a ton of monsters and earned big rewards, which makes him a special user. Then, in a much more serious tone, she tells him the truth. He doesn't actually get a choice in any of this. Jen's confused and asks what she means. Ego calmly explains that he's not some hotshot or prodigy, but he does carry divine fragments inside him. That's what makes him the one chosen to save the world. How he uses his broken ability is entirely up to him. She then asks, does he want to live comfortably, using his skill just to get rich, or does he want to shoulder the responsibility of saving the world? Either way, she makes it clear. It's his decision, and being a hero doesn't automatically mean picking the harder road. Back in the present, Jin thinks that kind of world-saving stuff is way above his pay grade. What excites him more is hot fried chicken, cold beer, and a warm bath. Hero talk? Nah, he's more into chill vibes. Meanwhile, back in her place, Hyge is beyond thrilled. She's now 100% sure that the mysterious firecasting mage is actually Jian. Everything matches: the gear, the firepower, the chaotic energy. Her brother watches quietly as she says she still wants to confirm it in person. He asks why she's acting like a fangirl over a loser. She flashes a grin, points out the mage is S-rank, and says users like them who enter S-rank fields can die at any moment. If she wants to make it to the top, she needs that crazy fire mage by her side. That doesn't surprise him at all. With a tired sigh, he says he's sick of dealing with her impulsive behavior. He even suggests that if she really wants to survive long enough to become number one, she should stop diving into things like a maniac. But she ignores all of that and starts calculating where Jian would go next. She confidently guesses he'll head to the D-rank spider cave, and her brother just stares at her like she's gone full delusional. The next day, his deadpan face says it all as he watches Hai casually chatting with Jian, who's just there to sell off his loot. Without skipping a beat, she tells him to stop pretending she knows exactly who he is. Jian tries to stay cool, saying he's just your friendly neighborhood healer. But it's obvious she's not buying it. Watching his sister mess with the guy, her brother sighs and finally steps in. He raises his hand and tells Jian they need to go, offering him 500 an hour. He drags Jian away, fully aware that trying to stop his sister once she's fixated is a lost cause. Once they're alone, the brother casually brings up the favor Jian owes him. Jian brushes him off with a sigh, saying he's only helping out because of the money, which instantly lights Hai up like a Christmas tree. But just before they head off, Jian starts sweating and nervously tells them he really needs to go to the bathroom. Hai just smirks and notes that she already wrote frequent diarrhea in her personal notes about him, to her brother's horror. When he returns, Hai doesn't waste time and bluntly asks if he's the mage who vanished after helping with the canal raid, and also if he's the infamous psychopath. Jian tries to dodge the question, pretending he didn't hear her clearly. As the three of them walk through the D-class spider cave, Hai keeps pushing. She offers to keep his secret, saying she's in the same industry. Jian wipes sweat from his forehead, realizing there's no point hiding anymore. He asks her not to tell anyone. After she promises, she says it all makes sense now. He even seems to have more magic than her. Jian quickly explains that it's just gear bonuses, nothing else. Then she asks what skill book he uses for buffs and healing, but before he can answer, her brother stops them both. He points out that the dungeon is packed with monsters, and it's time to stop joking around. Jian pulls out his fireflame sword and steps up, saying he'll clear the way. Seeing his weapon leaves Hyge speechless. She wonders if he's also a magic sword user. Being the king of excuses, Jian quickly explains he couldn't afford a staff and his magic stat makes the sword the best option for now. He then gets serious and switches from fire to ice spear. As a skill master, he has access to all kinds of skills. He uses this chance to test out ice spear and combines it with a positioning skill. The combo adds poison to the icicles, which rain down and knock out a solid number of spiders. Jian activates his catalyst skill, which boosts the poison damage once it stacks up 3 times. That's when it turns into critical poison. It might not be as flashy, but this ice magic works surprisingly well. Jian quickly realizes it's perfect for keeping enemies at bay. Hyge, watching him go off with a whole new skill set, stares at him in disbelief and asks, wasn't he just using fire magic a second ago? But Jian doesn't really answer. Later, the trio sits at a cafe, grabbing a bite. Jian just looks dead inside. He had planned to run off as soon as the hunt ended, but couldn't get away. His mind keeps circling back to what happened in the dungeon earlier. He blasted the field boss, the queen spider, with a huge attack and ended up absorbing her soul. The thing is, this meant Hyge and her brother got nothing from the boss drop. And so, feeling guilty, he sticks around with them for the meal. He tries to shake off the guilt while sipping his drink, but then the crazy lady hits him with a new proposal. She brings up how monsters aren't the only danger in the field. PvP battles between players can break out, too.